Here we go. Hi, Andrea. How you doing?
Good. How are you, Dimitri?
Good, doing great. Just came back from Judo.
Yeah, I just came back from having dinner with some of my football players about an hour or two
Okay.
ago.
And guess what? This stupid thing is telling me video recording error, reconnect. So I'm gonna try to do that. Okay? I'm gonna press reconnect and see what happens.
Okay.
Why? No.
Are you
All right,
back?
I'm back. And you know what? If this is if in the final video, I'm not even gonna cut this, and I'm gonna just
Okay.
tell Riverside, guys, come on, get your stuff together. You're supposed to be good company.
You're right.
No,
Yeah, I
although
have
I'm pretty
lots of
sure.
people that do Riverside.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they recommend connecting by wire though. I don't. I think they're gonna tell me like you shouldn't be doing wireless,
Uh,
and
oh,
you should be using a PC as opposed to your phone. But I'm trying to
hmm
just go like minimal. I don't want to like
yeah,
make a big investment into this right now.
I understand.
You know. Anyway, and I feel people should be interested because of the content, not because of the quality. You know. I
Right.
have faith in people.
Absolutely.
All right, so let me ask you. Let me ask you. Okay, I'm just gonna ask you something that's been on my mind a lot.
Okay.
And I don't know. Let me know if you deal with it a lot. But I want to talk about food. So I don't know if you deal with kids that have eating disorders, or just if this comes up in your practice at all. Uh, Let me know.
It's not one that I deal with very often just because eating disorders are such a unique disorder and it kind of like its own beast that and there's like there's science to all psychology and like practicing psychology, but it's not one that I typically will treat. Like I
Hmm.
remember when I was on clinical internship, I actually asked one of my supervisors, Leslie, whether or not, or Lindsay, if she would, because she actually was an expert in eating disorders. And so I actually asked her if I could sit in on one of her eating disorder cases because it wasn't something that I had ever had a therapeutic any therapeutic experiences with, because when I was in training at Kent State, anyone that had an eating disorder would actually be treated by the graduate students whose research focused in on eating disorders. So it's not
Hmm.
something, at least eating disorder wise, I know a little bit about it, but it's not like one of the main disorders that I treat, if that makes sense.
Do you deal with any kind of addictions?
Like clinically, yes. Like so, a lot of my clients have, not a lot of them, but like a fair amount of them have substance use addictions, and some of them would probably say that they have food addictions. But that's something that a lot of the time, because I try to stay away from substance use disorders, because for me, it's harder to so, one of the best predictors of whether or not someone will change is the therapeutic alliance. And I just don't understand why anyone would ever take heroin and like shoot themselves up with it. Like, knowing all that we know about how addictive it is and how bad it is for you, that just seems like a really, really bad idea. And so I don't I don't ever market myself as a substance use disorder. And a lot of my clients that do have substance use disorders, I will treat the other disorders first
Mhm.
before I treat the substance use disorder. Because it's been my experience that if you treat the other disorders, then the substance use disorder kind of addresses itself along the way, if that makes sense.
It's interesting how you said that you try not to deal with it because it seems like a bad idea, but it's strange coming from a psychologist because I'm pretty sure a lot of things that you deal with sound like a bad idea, like killing somebody or abusing somebody or. or whatever you have to deal with.
Well, yeah, but it seems like to me, and we can get into debates, and other people will probably like, I don't know, try to cancel me or something when I say this. But with addiction, at least the beginning stages, it is so much of a choice. Like you
Hmm.
get to choose whether or not you're going to drink. You get to choose whether or not you're going to use crystal meth. You get to choose whether or not you're going to shoot up heroin. That is your choice. And no one is forcing you. No other, I mean, logistically, in reality, no one else is forcing you to do those things. And we can argue like peer pressure and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's still your choice. Whereas, like other things, you can say, like, oh, well, like abusing someone and murdering someone is also a choice. But a lot of the time, like, murder is a crime of passion, and so that's the
Hmm.
emotion regulation. So like you're not 100%. I mean, it's still your choice whether or not you act on your emotions. But usually, at least in my research that I did when I was in undergrad, it was very much like murder is a crime of passion majority of the
Hmm.
time.
Well, this is an interesting philosophical discussion whether anything we do at all is our choice, right?
Yeah.
But we better not go down there because that becomes a whole philosophical discussion, which is pretty interesting.
Hmm.
I guess this is a good connection to what I was gonna say, because I think, going back to food, I've lately, this is very new for me, or very new ideas. I'm changing. If somebody told me like a few years ago, like that food is an addiction, I just dismiss them.
Hmm.
But now I came to believe that, number one, it is an addiction, and I can explain what I mean by that.
Hmm. Yeah.
And number two, well, how is it? It's completely not your choice, because what happens is that the society is so off the rails on the topic of food, thanks to
Hmm.
just the culture and the food industry, and whatever it is, whatever the forces that are, and so that the parents are basically, getting their kids addicted. This is my, so I'm
Hmm.
just saying, I don't know, I don't know how much time because I've just recently immersed myself into these ideas, and so like once you immerse yourself into them, like they seem like so obvious, but then of course, they may not be so obvious to other people, and so I don't know where exactly you stand. But I feel
Hmm.
like when you like they go to any birthday, and it's like, here you go, birthday cake, cupcakes, and it's like, and if you really get to the science of that, oh my god, this is poison, and this is addiction.
Hmm.
What is your stance on that?
So I think, are we addicted to sugar? Absolutely. Like I read a book recently, probably a few months ago, maybe April, called Breaking Up with Sugar. And I tried to break up with sugar, and I think I lasted maybe like 20, 21, 23 days, something like that. And then like something, I think I was out and about at a party or something, and I caved, and then I haven't, and I've tried to like go back to it and break up with it again. I think I broke up with sugar again like another time or two, and I just haven't been able to do it. So like I will fully admit, like I'm addicted to sugar. Um and so like that's definitely something that I personally am struggling with right now, but I would agree with you. Like I think the science is showing that big food companies, at least from what I've read, is that they are always trying to make the food more addictive. They're trying to add things to it, salt, sugar, other substances, that it's going to make it more palatable to our taste buds, where we are going to want more and more and more of that. And then then you see like the new drugs coming out, like Ozempic and those kind of things, where they're used to treat diabetes, and you're starting like, and I have one client that's on Ozempic right now, and she's lost, I think, 15 pounds since she started taking it, because it completely wipes, according to her, it completely wipes out the obsessive, addictive, intrusive thoughts that come into play with like food.
Oh, it's a new drug that you're talking about?
Yeah, so it's a drug that's typically
It's a good one.
prescribed for it's typically prescribed for people with the type 2 diabetes.
Mhm.
But it's like super expensive. I think someone told me it's like $1,500 a month, and it's like a
Have you,
once a week shot.
right? Have you heard of Dr. Robert Lustig? He is a
No.
pediatric endocrinologist.
Okay.
Check him out. He's an amazing guy. He's a professor
Hmm.
emeritus in some kind of college, some kind of university. Uh,
Hmm.
Pediatric endocrinologist. He wrote two books, which I haven't read, but I heard him talk about his books. I want to read them, but as soon as I can get my hands on them, I will read them. One is called
Hmm.
Metabolical, and the other one is called Hacking of the American Mind.
Okay.
So it's and the way he explains it is just amazing. And he like I think I was ready to kind of uh understand all this. You have to meet people where they are, and I don't think I was ready
Hmm.
maybe a few years ago. I think I was ready, but when he explained it to me, it just hit me, and I said, how can I cannot be doing this, because what he explained is that when you diagnose diabetes, and I should have been able to figure this out
Type
honestly.
1
I
or
know
type 2 diabetes.
type two. I'm talking about type
Okay.
two.
Hmm.
Type one, you don't produce insulin. That's genetic, probably. But
Yeah.
type two is the one it's used to be adult onset diabetes, but
Hmm.
now we see like huge percent of kids having it. And
Right.
and but the scary part is that he explained that by the time they diagnose diabetes, that's usually number one. That's good news, because once you get diagnosed, you start changing something, right? Number
Hmm.
two, that's already too
Hopefully.
late. It's too late, because your metabolism has been screwed up for decades. Because
Hmm.
how they diagnose diabetes is by measuring glucose,
Yeah.
right, in your blood. But what happens is, the reason you have glucose in your blood is because you become insulin resistant.
Mm.
But you have become insulin resistant long time ago. But what happens is your pancreas compensates by producing more insulin and pushing that glucose into your blood, into your cells anyway.
Hmm.
So you eat sugar, you feed your kid sugar. The cell says no more sugar. They become insulin resistant, but pancreas says, hey, you gotta get rid of the sugar in the blood. Here's more
Hmm.
insulin. It's like your kid is not listening and you're screaming more, and so to achieve the purpose. So
Hmm.
now what you're doing is you're building up that insulin resistance, builds up until it builds up so much that now finally after 10 years you've got diabetes. But they don't test
Hmm.
for insulin. The doctors have not been taught this for some reason,
Yeah.
which seems like a simple
Hmm.
idea, but they have not been taught. So, like, and that's just like one little thing that he explained. But once you really get this, it's like, what are we doing? And also the thing is, like, it's you don't the food industry, they don't have to do anything to make it addictive. Because the fructose and the sugar, it's designed to be addictive, because um like the reason, so it goes to your brain. It doesn't just go to
Hmm.
like your cell. It goes to your brain, and it tells your brain, we have to eat more because we have to prepare for like hibernation or for starvation. So
Hmm.
basically, like when the bear prepares to go to hibernate the entire winter, the bear has to load up on berries to get fat.
Right.
So the bear doesn't. So what the fructose, and this is like recent science, because they used to prescribe fructose to diabetics because the fructose doesn't raise the blood sugar, but it goes straight to the brain, and it says, it suppresses the hormone that tells you I'm full.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, it tells you no, eat more because we need to. This is a short period when we can get those fruits, and we're gonna have the winter ahead of us. We gotta get fat. It's not about
Mm-hmm.
energy; it's about getting fat. So it's designed. So fructose is designed to be addictive, and what they've done is they've put fructose everywhere. And so it
Okay.
takes, and so basically, they've done experiments. It takes, you know, usually like it takes like it's like they ask you how many shots of whatever it takes for you to get addictive, and it turns out for a kid, it takes one try. One time they try sugar, they're hooked. And I proved it. And I proved it. So after I read all this, like I decided I'm gonna take the sugar out of it. Sugar in processed food, I'm gonna throw it down in the trash can. I tried this cold turkey. I did it, but my kid, and we're pretty healthy. But I said no dessert. And oh my God, the kind of tantrum we got. And a nice kid, nice, well-behaved kid, tantrum, slamming doors. I'm like, this is addiction, 100%.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So my question,
Yeah,
so
like
okay, so I'm
usually when I was doing my breaking up with sugar, it was always the second day that hit me like a ton of bricks. Like the first day I was okay, and then it was the second day where it was like, oh my goodness, like I feel nauseous, I feel gross, like and all I want to do is go to sleep, um, because my body just wanted that sugar.
mm, you need to try to get off of it because what you're describing means you don't have the metabolic flexibility because your
Mm-hmm.
body, you're supposed to feel bad a little bit, but then your body's supposed to adjust and you go into using other sources of energy like ketones. I'm sure you heard the ketogenic diet and all that
Mm-hmm.
stuff. You're
Yeah.
supposed to, the body switches the mode, but if you're not used to it, the body just doesn't know how to switch. So
Mm-hmm.
when I tried like fasting and going off sugar, I felt pretty bad. But after some time, your body learns how to switch. Some people it takes longer.
Oh,
Depends on how.
yeah, like it was only the second day that it felt bad, and then after that I was fine.
There we go. Okay, so you switched. That's awesome. But so here's my
Yeah.
question to you though. So I'm sorry for talking so
Okay.
much, but here's a specific question. So let's take you as an example. You said I think you said I could not, like I tried and I could not quit. And I see the same pattern in many different things, many different addictions. I know a person who was
Mm-hmm.
smoking and said, and I tried quitting, I could not quit. I tried many times. And he said, and I say, and I'm always kind of like, I'm like the embrace the suck kind of guy. I said, come
Yeah.
on, just quit it. It's cold turkey, just quit it. Like suck it up.
Yeah.
And like people tell me, you don't understand. It's so hard. And this person is like, no, I tried. You don't understand. Well, guess what? That person recently had a heart surgery. And after the heart
Mm-hmm.
surgery, and after the heart surgery, she quit.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait a second, but I thought you said you couldn't quit. But
Mm-hmm.
it turns out you could quit. And nobody quit for you. You quit.
Right.
What happened? I know what happened. You really got scared.
Mm-hmm.
So the question, and then I deal, and then this was smoking, but I deal go back to the food, and I tell people, and I've had cases, I try to help people. I'm really bad. I'm a really bad psychologist, so I do what I can, and I say, listen, and I try to tell them the truth. I said, look, you are overweight.
Mm-hmm.
You are gonna have really bad diseases. You are gonna have diabetes. Oh, I'm pre-diabetic. You see, you're already pre-diabetic. You're only a
Mm-hmm.
teenager. You're pre-diabetic. You're gonna come train today, and you're gonna promise that you're gonna skip dinner after training. That's all I'm asking you. I'm not asking you nothing special. I'm
Mm-hmm.
just asking you to come, do the work, and skip the
Mm-hmm.
meal. That's all I'm
Yeah.
asking you to do. And they are not capable of doing it. However, I'm pretty sure there's something in their life they really care about. Maybe it's their own life. Maybe they need to get scared because somehow, even though I
Yeah.
told them, look, you're almost morbidly ill, but somehow they dismiss it. But if you could
Mm-hmm.
really scare them like that, like, oh, you actually literally have a heart surgery and you're walking this line. I'm sure that's gonna switch, and it's gonna if Andrea gets scared like this for
Hmm.
yourself or for your child, you're gonna quit in a
Yeah.
day.
Hmm.
So tell me, so number one, am I right? Or am I wrong? And number two, if I'm right, then there should be a way for you to get to that person's brain and whatever it is, some mechanism, like for you to scare them to death, and everybody should be able to quit anything.
I think like, cause so then you're going off of like the whole like scared straight phenomenon. Like, hey, let's scare this person into getting off of their addiction. Let's have use this fear. But then what happens is it's motivating for a period of time. And then once that motivation leaves them, because motivation always waxes and wanes, that person doesn't stick with it. And so I think you have to like go in and focus a lot more on the what we know works for behavior change, like behavioral change, and like really tap into what you were talking about, like the person's why, and like what are their values, and like prioritize that compared to the scaring them straight, or scaring them into wanting to change, because I think that only lasts for a little bit.
How is that fear going to go away? If you, hypothetically speaking, I've just started explaining to you about what I learned about sugar in this case. Oh, and by the way, another thing that Dr. Lastic said, he said the fructose is getting processed by the liver in
Mm-hmm.
exactly the same way. Gets metabolized by the liver in almost the same way as the alcohol. So
Mm-hmm.
basically, it's like when you giving your kid that sugar, whatever it is, everything has sugar, right? That juice, even juice, right? You know that
Yeah.
when you take food, it's supposed to be healthy, but when you take the juice without the fiber, it's
Mm-hmm.
pretty much pure sugar, and
Right.
50% of it is fructose, and fructose gets metabolized in the liver exactly as alcohol, and that's why kids nowadays they get the fatty liver disease, which used to be the
Mm.
alcoholic disease, and it's all
Yeah.
connected with the type 2 diabetes, but it's not just the type 2 diabetes, it's everything we got, the
Mm-hmm.
heart, the Alzheimer's, the ADHD, it's all tied to the sugar, and it seems like it's a boogeyman, except it's not, because if you understand, because I'm not just I used to be like, oh, I just dismiss it because it's a boogeyman, okay, but
Mm-hmm.
once you understand the science, and once you think, oh, it's not just words, it's like real,
Mm-hmm.
it's like uh, now that how is that now you said that fear is going to go away, but no, it's if hypothetically speaking, if you explain to that person and you really make them understand what they're doing to their body, you know how is that going to be go away? I was even thinking like there's got to be something, like if let's say I was a teenager and somebody told me you're going to die, I said I don't care, but maybe somebody told me, you know what, you're going to get erectile dysfunction, I'd be like, oh shit, maybe I gotta stop doing that. But
And I get
it's
what you're saying, but like the fear thing, so like intense emotions like fear typically are only intense and last for about 15 to 20 minutes. And then as soon as that goes away, that fear does go away. So unless you're giving someone like a daily dosage of like scaring them into giving up sugar, it's not going, like you have to figure out other ways to get them motivated, and keep them motivated, which is going to be tapping into their values and like what's important to them, and like focusing more on like the positive stuff and focusing in on small daily changes.
hmm. I don't know. I'm trying to keep an open mind, and I'm trying to learn from you, but
Mm-hmm.
I still think fear is the way to go, because I don't see you
Okay.
saying it's going to go away, but I don't see it going away. Like, I mean, as long as it's something that you truly care about, like if you had a heart attack, if you
Mm-hmm.
actually had a heart attack, How is
Yeah.
that? And you're gonna say, how's that fear gonna go away? Like, I mean, you've had a heart attack, you almost died. But
Hmm.
maybe it's not you. Maybe it's your child that you care about. How's the fear of your child getting sick gonna go away? There's gotta be. That's the thing. You have to find something that you really care about, and this is your diet. This is what you eat. How is it possibly
Hmm.
going to go if you understand the science? Unless the science changes, which it's not
I
going to.
don't think,
You know.
because you're assuming that people are logical. People are not logical. People are emotional. And so if we're
Hmm.
solely basing off of emotion, and then all of a sudden, like, okay, they're like, okay, yes, I'm going to change my life and I'm no longer going to eat sugar. And then all of a sudden, if you don't if you don't surround them with other coping skills to deal with the reasons why they're overeating or why they're eating sugar, as soon as stress comes into their life, they're going to go back to those old coping skills of eating sugar, eating ice cream, eating, carbohydrates and pastas and those kind of things that have, that are not, have like high amounts of sugar in them and that are not good for them.
Hmm.
So you have to like wrap around, you have to provide them with wraparound services and like, okay, like, yes, you're going to do this. This is going to be your daily plan. This is in developing like your big why behind it. And then also coming in with um, giving them other coping skills to deal with the reasons why they, overate sugar to begin with.
Hmm. Oh, yeah, yeah. I don't know. I'm glad I'm not a psychologist. I'm
Well,
terrible.
yeah.
I'm terrible.
The funny story was I was at Costco. What day was it? Was it yesterday or 2 days ago? And I saw this guy. He had a shirt on that said, "Some therapists have four legs." And I was like, "Well, apparently a dog can be as good of a therapist as I am,
Hmm.
according to this dude."
Okay. Well, I mean, right. I mean, the dogs. I think he just loves the pets, right? They're just really therapeutic.
Right, and
Just
right, it's a pet. It's not a therapist. Like I took
and
offense
they
to
and they
that by
listen. They
far.
probably listen. They're like the best
Well, then
listener,
you
right?
what kind of therapist does he have? Like, has he been exposed to? If that dog that doesn't talk back and can't provide any empathy or anything, like, whew.
Well, I think just from my life again, from my life experience, I learned
Mhm,
that sometimes you think people make you think, or we take it upon ourselves. Like if somebody is sharing something, they expect an answer or an advice.
mhm,
But
yeah,
I've learned that most of the time it's not true. They
okay,
are even when they are asking you a question. Like
mhm,
for example, like if I when I even me like right now when I'm asking you these questions, like what I really wanted to do is I really wanted to share the information
mhm,
that's in my that's like I wanted to write. And everybody is
yeah,
like this too.
mhm,
I learned it the hard way, like with my wife when she starts, telling me about the problems, and I try to come up with solutions,
mhm.
and then
Try to fix
all
it.
of my solutions are wrong, and I'm like, well, then forget about my solutions, and it's like, and then it's like I'm confused, like, well, what do you want me to do? Like, like, you want me to, do you want me to give you this? If you're sharing me the problem, I try to give the solution. And then I figured out,
Mhm,
listen, I cannot give solutions. I just have to say, I understand you. Like I
mhm,
validate. There we go.
yeah,
I have to validate the feelings.
there you go.
So let me um, let me ask you about something else. Going
Okay.
to a different topic
Mhm,
that I was thinking about before talking to you. So okay, so I have most of my kids are girls.
mhm,
I have three girls and one boy. So
mhm,
all the judo, and I'm proud of all of them. But especially, I think if I'm honest, it's especially makes me feel good when your girl can, you know, can beat somebody up and when she can beat up boys, and I don't know if
Hmm.
it's good or bad. Of course, I tell myself it's a good thing because I'm trying to, my job is to empower them, right? To say, hey,
Hmm.
just because probably the society tells you that, if you're a girl, you're not as strong. So that's why it makes me feel good, especially good when my girl, goes to a judo tournament and beats up a boy. And I feel like
Hmm.
it's good for them to be, to believe in themselves and to know that, be confident. Now, so, and I think I mentioned to you, but surprisingly, you get, first of all, people all get excited about it. Like as soon
Uh-huh.
as you like have like, girl versus boy, like people all get excited about it. And then you get some
Hmm.
like interesting reactions, like, people say, some people say like me, like, yeah, that's awesome. And some people say, uh, the boys should never fight girls. That's wrong. That's just wrong.
Hmm.
That's just like one reaction. Another reaction is like, um, when my boys, when they tell my boys to fight with the girls, I tell them to take the knee or something like that. They take the knee
Hmm.
and basically they don't fight. They say, I'm not going to fight a girl. Uh,
Hmm.
and, uh, and so like, what are your thoughts on this? Like, how do you process this? What is your approach? What is the advisable approach?
Um, so I think it really depends on, I think, people's values. Some people are very strong in their values of like boys should not hit girls, and I understand that. I was raised with three older brothers and a, very masculine machismo father. Um, and so I think we're living in a interesting time right now when it comes to girls versus boys. But like, okay, so if it's my two daughters, like I would, and they wanted to wrestle or they wanted to do judo, like just let them. Like, there's a certain age that you can separate them out, but then I think for younger ages, just let them wrestle or let them do judo, not wrestle. It's not. I know it's not wrestling. Um, and so I think you just allow them to do it, you co-ed if that's what the sport kind of does, and then see what happens. And who cares if it's a girl or a boy? It's a competitor and move on.
Right, but see, but how do you deal with so because those ideas, those like old school ideas, they're surprisingly prevalent, and even like the people that organize the tournaments, they are like I say, can I put my girl in the boys division, and they're like, it's like they've never heard about this. It's like, oh, I don't know,
Hmm.
I don't know, I don't know, I'm not sure we can do that. I'm like, why not?
Well, why would
Uh,
you? Is there a girl division?
yeah,
So then why not put the
the
girl in
reason.
the girl division?
Well, the reason I do it is because number one, I try to put my girls in all divisions. I put
Hmm.
them in their weight and age division. I go up age, I go up weight, and if there's boys that are their size, then I'm just taking any opportunity, right? So
Hmm.
it's not like I'm not even thinking boys girls. Number two, a lot of times there are just less girls. There's just less
Yeah.
girls doing martial arts. So
Hmm.
so maybe we go to a tournament and she has one opponent, whereas the
Hmm.
boys division there's like 10 opponents.
Yeah.
So I just want her the opportunity to be able to fight. And sometimes it's also a consideration. Hey, I want her to get challenged.